Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Margie. I felt like doing a landscape and I saw this source online and I thought it was so beautiful, the Southern Waters. And I really liked it because it's green. I don't use a whole lot of green in my artwork, and I love the green waters and the mist in the background. And I'm gonna make it a little different, slightly the same, from the whole landscape that you're seeing right now. But I am gonna add a blue herring bird and some rocks on the bottom left corner. So let's get started. Okay, I got a little ahead so that I can be able to have these blocks already formed, and I'm referring to the three batches of bushes that you see right there. There's actually four, one in the back, and that is a good way for you to start your landscapes paintings, even apply to your other subject paintings. But if you create shapes of the different tone values that it has, it makes it easier for you to be able to start visualizing what you're trying to accomplish. And so I'm working with my dark tones right now and a medium brush. I did start off when I started my painting with a large brush to kind of create the wash. And that's the line that you see right there. It's a drip and that'll be going away. So don't worry about that. But anyhow, so now I'm getting a little brighter on my colors. And I'm going to put, some of these clippings on time lapse so that I won't have to keep you here for long and just try to get the main point of this. But you can see now that I'm kind of heading off to my lighter tones. Okay, I'm going to speed it up a little bit. The blue that I used here I didn't like, so I changed it after. And I'm using a mid-sized brush. I start off with a large brush and then I move on to the smaller brushes as I'm heading on to the details. And all I'm doing is just blocking in. And now I'm starting to get a little lighter on my tones. And don't be afraid to add your dark tones. It's basically you start from light to dark and then you start working backwards from dark to light so that you can reach the point to where then you create your highlights at the end. And so just kind of forming my pretty autumn trees there. It looks like the beginning of autumn. They say that the Southern Waters are beautiful. I've never been to them, but I would love to see them. And I like herring birds, so yeah, that's why I have to put one in there. I did do a little bit of research, and yes, there's herring birds out in the Southern Waters. In Georgia is what I've been told. Okay, and here I'm starting to work with my rocks. I use some dark tones to start off, and then I go into mid-tones and lighter tones. And I just shape the form of the rocks. I don't even bother looking at the picture, even though the picture was my inspiration. But now I'm just kind of visualizing those rocks. And there's my herring bird. Beautiful herring birds. I know there's birds. Those birds are out here and where I live at. And my son took a picture of a white herring and sent it to me. And that's at the time that I was actually painting my white herring on my short video clipping. And pretty much everything that you paint, it's always a good habit to get into when you start off with your dark tones, because you can lighten up your dark tones gradually as you go along. Another good habit for you to get into is kind of bounce around. It works with both acrylics and oils. And by the way, this is done in oils. Okay, I did start with acrylic and now I'm finishing with oils, so it's considered to be a mixed media painting. Okay, I'm speeding up a little more. I'm gonna be coming up with the mist here in a second. When I start the mist, I start with a dry brush, and I'm using one of my old brushes that I mentioned the other day. I'm barely dabbing some paint on here. This is not using the side of the brush, although you could if you'd like, but you might want to keep in mind that when you do create mist, if you don't have your canvas prepped, as in applying some gesso or maybe a few colors of some background paint, you will see the canvas material texture on there. So if you don't want that showing through, some artists like that, some don't. But if you don't want that showing through, yeah, I recommend using a couple of coats, maybe 2-3 coats, so that it won't show through. And sped up again. And so once I kind of smudge on there the mist, I start smudging a little more on there. And now I'm using the side of the brush, okay, because I do want it darker, and I feel pretty confident that the paint is being applied nice and thin. And I'm almost done. I'm kind of, you know, also working with the sky at the same time, because remember that appearance is coming from the sky. And here it is. I'm pretty happy with the mist amount that I put. And this is how it looked before the mist. Okay, so pretty much we're going to finish up the painting, and I'm going to add some branches to that birch that's on the right side, and then probably play around with some of the trees that are to the left. And basically it's a grand finale, just touching it up, making sure that everything is on there. And if you guys like my content, and if it was helpful, I'd love for you guys to support me by clicking subscribe, and hopefully I can pass on this information to other artists that may be in need of help. So thank you so much for your support. And I'm just a little YouTuber, and I already passed the 100 mark. So thank you. Bye. But don't leave yet, because we have to finish our painting. Okay guys, so I have my colors on my palette. They're ready, and these are the colors that I used. If you want a description, just kind of pause it. I think it should have them all, but these are just the colors that I'm using towards the end, which, yes, I did kind of use most of these colors throughout the painting. And here's my brushes. I do have to use some finer brushes, and I love my angular brush. This is a really good one to have. These two brushes, these are old, and I love them for bushes, trees, scumbling, and all that good stuff. But anyhow, so let's get started. And here we go. The branches and the final touch. This is what makes your painting pop. Okay, and so I'm using a line brush for the branches because I want them very small. You can use a palette knife, or you can use an angular brush, and then you can create them a little thin and thick. And so I'm choosing the line brush. Okay, so now I'm just gonna add a little bit of foliage, kind of create some highlights on there. Not too bright, because it is a gloomy day. Touching up a little on the boat, just kind of adding a little bit of more rustic on there. And if you put too much paint, you can just wipe it off, so no worries about that. Put some little highlights on there. And now here I'm touching up the herring bird. I kind of rounded his upper body a little. And you'll see that towards the end when I show you the final painting. And then here I'm using a palette knife just to put some highlights. And if they're too bright for you, which I kind of thought in this case, they might have been a little too bright, but I'm okay with that, because I do kind of highlight on the water so that I can draw the viewer towards the herring bird. I want the herring bird to be the focal point. And now I'm just adding a little bit of yellow ochre with my white. Just adding some color down below. Bouncing back to the branches and putting some highlights. And the same with the boat. So basically from this point on, it's just touching up, and there you see me adding some white, trying to direct the viewer to the herring bird. And instead of bringing that little trail of reflection on the river to the center, I'm kind of moving it towards the herring. And now here I'm using the edge of my brush to create that light reflection. And this is pure white at this point, titanium white. And I started my foliage here. Start off with a little brush, just making sure that I don't go too large at the beginning because I don't want the foliage to be dramatic. I just want it subtle. And that's it, guys. Just touching up, and I'll put the final here in a minute. And here it is, all completed. I'm really, really, really happy with it. Look at the mist, how pretty. And that little bird flying in the distance. Okay, what do you think? Give me a like if you like it. Thank you guys for watching.